If you were gonna spend 51 hours making something with only 4 ingredients, this would be that recipe. Focaccia, light, airy, fluffy, but crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside. It's its own meal by itself, but it's also beautifully incredible as a sandwich. Toasted, used for panzanella, use it for breadcrumbs, and use it any way you would use bread, but respect it in a different way. That being said, let's make this, shall we? We're gonna start by mixing our dough together by hand. Yeah, you don't need a stand mixer. We'll then develop our dough, prove it in the fridge for a long time. Place in baking pans, rise, dimple, bake, cool, slice, and serve beautifully. If you're gonna make bread, you're gonna need bread flour. 900 grams to be specific. In a bowl, I have 720 grams of water that's like lukewarm, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know, somewhere in that region, right? 5 grams of instant yeast. Stir that in and dissolve it into the water, along with 16 grams of salt. Now, some purists will say, oh, you should never add salt to your yeast mixture. You're killing the yeast. It's fine. The scientific explanation is this. All salt is gonna do is slow down the fermentation process, which is what we want. But it's not gonna kill it. Flour, get that broken up. You're gonna add your yeasty, salty juice. With your hand, no stand mixer, no special tool. Mix it together, stir it around. It's gonna be very loose, it's gonna be very liquidy, it's gonna be very sticky. That is okay. Make sure to get all the dried flour in there. Wet and hydrated. This is a very hydrated dough, meaning it's gonna be very sticky, it's gonna be very loose, but the mixing process that I have for you here will help coax it where we want it. So at this stage, you can go ahead and let it rest once it's hydrated. You can also give it a little bit of a rhubarb method mix, which is literally when you fold your hand into a scoop and you're going to pick up the dough and slap it back against the bowl, right? So like this. And you do that repeatedly, go around the bowl, and you can do this for like a minute, 30 seconds. It just helps develop the dough a little bit. It's to simulate a mixing arm. That's why we do it like this, right? A little commercial mixer. You got your commercial mixer right here called bicep and tricep. Okay, so after that, we're gonna wash our hands. You're gonna cover that with plastic wrap and just let this rest for 15 minutes. This is kind of like a mini autolyse, gives a chance for the dough to get fully hydrated, but it's also gonna develop the gluten so we can do our first set of stretch and folds. A lot of people are scared by this. Let me ease your fear. You got our dough. First, wet one hand, just slightly damp, all right? If it's too wet, dab it off. And then you're gonna use that wet hand, you're gonna pick your dough up on one side, stretch it, and fold it over itself. Again, pick it up, stretch it, fold it over itself. And you're gonna do that around the perimeter of the dough. Oh my gosh, it's so sticky, it's never gonna work. You're gonna repeat that for a total of 4 times, 30, 30, 30, 30, over the course of 2 hours, every 30 minutes. Go turn on a movie. Just find something to do. This is obviously a weekend project unless you work from home. Otherwise, if you do work from home, this is a great work from home thing to do. Wrap it back up, leave it at room temp, and in 30 minutes, we'll do fold number 2. This is fold number 2. Wet hand, dig in there, pull it up, look at this. See, it's a lot less sticky now, and it's actually holding together really well. It's starting to gather a little bit of air, but what you're really noticing is now it's strong. It's not quite sticking in your hands as bad. It's really able to retain its shape. This is why you cannot skip the stretch and fold. You have developed the gluten. Now it can actually hold the water, which is crucial to those big, beautiful bubbles that you see on Instagram that make you go, oh my God, I wish I could make focaccia like that. Well, we're doing it. Cover back up, another 30 minutes. Fold number 3, same thing. Along the whole perimeter of the bowl, get underneath, stretch it up as far as it'll go without tearing, fold it over. Now this time I'm handling it just a touch more gently because it's starting to get pretty tight. Like you can see, it's really holding together when I fold that over. Yeah, it's sticky, but it's not really like impossibly sticky, but look at that. Look at the way that's moving, dude. That's a good sign. That means it's holding the air, it's not flattening out. We have one more fold. So wrap it, set it aside for 30 more minutes. Obviously, all the folds are exactly the same. I've done a 4th fold. It's the same thing as it was the other 3 times. But I do want to transfer this to another container. Do you have to do this? No, you can leave it in this bowl and that's fine. I prefer these. This is basically a clear 4-inch half hotel pan. I love these for focaccia because it keeps it in the square shape so that when I dump it out, it's easier to split because it's so loose. But look, that's personal preference. It's not the end of the world if you don't do this. Either way, if you do, I'm gonna oil it generously with olive oil, and then I'm gonna take a flexible bench scraper and do the same with that. Just make sure that it's nice and oiled, and then we're going to quickly scrape and dump this bad boy into here. Just like that, boom, done. Super simple. We're gonna cover this very tightly with plastic wrap. It is critical that no air gets in here, okay? So I'm fully cater wrapping both sides, like so. Now place this in your fridge for about minimum of 24 hours, but ideally 48 hours. Yes, that long. It makes a massive difference in the final product. Trust me, it's gonna be great. So it's effectively been 2 days and we have a jiggly wobbly dough. So the reason we fermented that long, 2 reasons. Number 1, flavor. The longer it sits, the more it develops beautiful fermented notes. It's gonna deepen that yeasty flavor, but also aeration. You want a lot of gas in this dough so it gets nice and bubbly. It's gonna smell yeasty. It's also gonna have almost a slight, very, very tinge of an alcoholic aroma, and that is good. You want that. So move this aside. To our board, I'm gonna lightly spray it because this dough is extremely sticky. Same with the top of our dough. I'm not gonna olive oil it yet just because I don't want this just pooling with olive oil. Now you're gonna carefully scrape, ideally with a bench scraper, and just dump this dough out. The goal is to have this come out one piece so I can divide it equally into 2 pieces as best I can. So I'm gonna go right down the middle. I'm just eyeballing it. It's not the end of the world if it's not perfect, okay? We have 1 piece, the next piece. We have 2 9x13 trays. This makes 2 focaccias. Yes, you could also put it all in 1 tray and have a really tall focaccia. The only downside is if your focaccia is really tall, you can't make great sandwiches with it. So we're going for a little bit shorter focaccia, big aeration, super crispy. So first, extra virgin olive oil, aggressively, okay? I want like 2-3 tablespoons in each of those. Now, first half is gonna go in here. I would recommend oiling your hands slightly, get underneath the dough, get it released from the board. You're just gonna grab this bad boy, carefully transfer it over. Same thing with the other dough, same situation. Scrape underneath, loosen it. Okay, just roughly shaping this bad boy. Get underneath there and transfer it over. That's it, super simple. Okay, we have 2 doughs. Look at that, dude. Look, he's so happy. He's gonna need a proof. Before you proof them, just coax them a little bit in the shape that you want them. Don't overwork the dough. It'll find its way to its home, so to speak, right? So I think like right around there is fine. It'll kind of relax a little, but I do like to stretch it somewhat towards the edges just to get it working in the general rectangular shape we're looking for. Don't press it down too much. Okay, that's nice. We're gonna cover these with plastic wrap tightly, let them proof at room temperature for around 3 hours or so until they're doubled in size and nice and tall in that pan. It's been time. We have a beautiful, stunning focaccia ready to be baked. Now the best way to tell if your focaccia is ready is when it looks beautifully bubbly and it's just come up to the edges. It's not quite over the edges yet. When you bake it, it may go over the edges, it may not. But the point is, this is what she should look like. And when you give it a little wiggle, it should kind of wobble with it, right? That wobble, it's letting me know it's time. Very basic. You're gonna hit this generously with olive oil. Roll your hands a little. And then you're just going to dimple the dough by pressing all the way down to the bottom. Don't do it so much that you flatten the dough. You want to create dimples, but leave volume there too, right? So straight in, nice and gently, right? Boom, boom, looking good. All right, I like it. Now before it goes in the oven, touch of flaky salt on the top. Now we put our hard work back to work. 500-degree oven. It's been preheated for an hour. We're going in. Door gets closed. Set a timer for 20 to 30 minutes.
Remove your focaccia from the oven and let it cool in the baking pan for about a minute or 2. Then immediately transfer to a wire rack to cool completely so the bottom stays crispy. You want that airflow to go round. Optionally, you can hit it with a little additional extra virgin olive oil for some extra luxuriousness.
So once this has cooled off completely, or maybe it's a little warm still, that's okay, a little warm, but I don't want it hot. But listen to this. Hear that? Crispy bottom. Now let's cut this bad boy. See what we're working with here.
Look at this thing. It's light as air. The inside has the most tender crumb that melts in your mouth, while the lacy, crispy crust on the outside snaps at just the lightest touch of a tooth. And you can either serve it right away while warm, let it cool down, or use it for whatever you like, which I would highly recommend sticking around for what we're about to do to it.
So here's a quick sandwich recipe that I think goes perfectly with it. Fuji apple, or green apple. I'm using a mandolin. You don't have to, I'm just doing it for ultra even cuts. So you're gonna cut that into like 1/4-inch thick slices. And then again, the other way, about 1/4 of an inch as well, into 1/4-inch batons. And then once more, the other direction to get nice, even squares. Put that into a bowl. And repeat that with your whole apple. All right, to that, a 1/2 cup of Castle Vetrano olives, pitted, split them all in half. And then you're gonna 1/4 those halves. Super simple. Add this to your bowl. To that, you're gonna zest either a whole or a half lemon, depending on how zesty you want it. I'm just gonna do about that much. It doesn't need that much. A little bit of olive oil, just a touch, maybe a teaspoon or 2. Touch of Malden flaky salt. Then of course, you got a lemon. About a tablespoon or 2 of lemon juice. Give that a light toss to coat thoroughly. It's a nice, refreshing little apple olive relish. You could add some chopped herbs to this if you want, like parsley or whatever. I'm leaving it plain because there are herbs in the sandwich already, which I'll show you now.
Slice a large piece of focaccia in half, slice it into quarters, so it's roughly 3 by 4 inches, and then split it in half. Now on the bottom half, you're gonna spread a nice layer of mayonnaise, add a couple slices of a nice quality thinly sliced mortadella, and just for some extra toothsomeness, I added a little bit of smoked sliced turkey, a light mound of fresh arugula. Drizzle that lightly with extra virgin olive oil and lemon juice. In the piece de resistance, tear a half piece of burrata cheese over your sandwich, sprinkle on some flaky salt, and then spoon on your beautiful relish. Finally, top that with a few whole leaves of fresh basil and crown your king. Slice it in half on a bias, because we know that creates more sandwich, and serve immediately.
A sandwich that needs no toasting. Why? Because the outside is already toasted. Cheers. That is a certified banger. Top tier sandwich. You could forget the relish, honestly. I love the relish in there. But even if you omitted the relish and just did all pre-made stuff, right? Just like olive oil, lemon juice, a little bit of burrata. It's a classic sandwich that we've seen before. But I'm telling you, that little extra sweetness from the apple does something to you. It refreshes your palate. It's a little bit of extra crunch, but it's also like just juicy and refreshing. And of course, you have the creaminess from the burrata, a little bit of extra creaminess from the mayo, and then that nice spicy arugula. But the real star of the show is the focaccia at the end of the day. You can do whatever you want with it. Eat it straight up, dip it in olive oil, dip it in romesco sauce, put vegetables on it. I don't know, maybe you're a vegetarian, you eat a vegetarian sandwich, that's fine. Point is, make this focaccia, 51 hours, well spent. Freeze the other one, have it any time of the year, any time of the day. Love you so much, subscribe, bye.